tight. On your tight. What you doing? What are you doing? Just another day around here. Let me show you what we're doing. I put my mic on so we can talk about it. It's a Monday morning here at Chrome Yellow. Probably one of the last busy Mondays we're ever gonna have. And I wanna give you, before this is all over, a sampling of what my life has been like for the last 8 years. So grab your coffee, put on some pants. Let me show you what we're doing this week. We're gonna start with this bus here. This just showed up today, like the other two buses I'll show you. This bus here was brought to us by a nice guy named Igor, and we are gonna be cutting the roof off this bus and raising it up and giving it back to him, and he's gonna take care of the skinning from there. He's actually done a pretty good job. He's installed a bunch of luggage bays. He's really gotten after it, and I love that. The best way to dive in is to do a build yourself, even if it's not perfect. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't stop there. Look at our assortment of cool trucks though. We got an old Dodge Cummins, Benz Toyota, sweet little 3rd gen 4Runner right there. Beautiful. Okay, this is our friend Andy's bus. Bart Borg is gonna be doing a tour of this bus in the imminent future. It might already be out by the time this video airs, but Andy's been living in this for a few years now. It was a bus that we built 2 shops ago even. And he's coming in for some maintenance. We're gonna be replacing the stock alternator that this bus has with one that's a little more beefy to handle an updated DC to DC charger that we just installed. That charger needs 70 amps, and the alternator he has can only do 30. So come check out how cool this alternator is though. But look at this shiny chrome. Ooh, isn't that cute? Just chrome, they just dip it. It's just dipped in the chrome. Fresh electronics smell. So the last thing we got going on today is putting a diesel heater in this bus. This bus belongs to a gal named Heather, and she is doing the build herself. But we did install this electrical system. This is all gonna be under her bed. But I'm coming in today to install a diesel heater right here. It's a Levaner, which is one of the units that I'm a big fan of because it automatically adjusts for altitude like the more expensive units, but it's only about 550 bucks or so. Whereas the German units, well over 1,000. So that's gonna go right here, and then we're gonna give this back over to her to finish building. She's got a bed platform that's gonna go over all of her electrical gear here, which is why it looks so crazy. And she'll be out of our hair and onto building the bus herself. And you know I'm a big fan of DIY, so happy to see her do that. So today's gonna be interesting though. We've got a lot to do. Ben's gonna be replacing the alternator. I'm gonna be cracking on the diesel heater. And if we get all of this done and these short buses can leave, we'll be pulling in that other bus that was dropped off and start assessing our moves for the roof raise. This unit, I just keep falling more and more in love with it because the installation manual, it's a Chinese diesel heater, but like they actually translated it very well. And it gives you tons of information. This is way better documentation that's easier to understand than even the German units. Just falling in love over here. It's gonna be beautiful. Yeah, this is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. We paid full price for all this stuff. I just like them. I like them. But that heater's gonna go right here. I'm gonna start by drilling some pilot holes, make sure that we can mount it where I wanna mount it without it getting in the way of things. And then we'll lift this cover up and we'll start tapping it into the top of that diesel tank that's under there. drilling a pilot hole with an aircraft bit, because you can measure all you want, but until you actually poke a hole through, you're not gonna know exactly where it comes out, you know? It's just a busy Monday. I'm fine. It's great. What flavor is that? Raspberry?
No, it's
blackberry lemonade.
Good seeing you, bud.
Good too, man. This guy. This is Matt. He's got the truck in the back. You've seen him around here. We don't pay him.
I don't work for money.
But he doesn't, he can't be bought.
Yeah, my name's Matt. I'm here at Charlie and Ben's shop. And I'm putting a OM617 Mercedes diesel in my 1987 Toyota pickup that I saw at Axle Swapped. And it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I couldn't do it without Charlie and Ben. And those guys rule. So.
Used my aircraft bit, and that's why I like using these so much, because I got down under there with my initial hole and realized I needed to move it back a couple of inches. And that placement meant that I was going to be a little too tight for around this area, so I scooched some things around, and now I'm about to hit it with the big hole saw, clear the hole for the turret plate, and then it's on to just hooking stuff up and plumbing. It's just that easy. Who doesn't love hole saws on Monday morning? Milwaukee, I don't know what's up with their chucks, but these chucks have a tendency, and I know a chuck, okay? I know a thing or two about being a chuck. And the chucks on these drills, they booger the crap out of your bits. I mean, look at this. Look at what I'm trying to grip. Granted, this hole saw has been used and abused, but that's supposed to be like a hexagon shape, and now it's some kind of, it's some kind of sigh. And it wears me out. But we'll get there. Just got to get through this OSB, and then it's smooth sailing. You want to make sure you're bracing the battery somehow with your leg or some other immovable object, and keep your face out of the way. Our good friend Ty got almost knocked out by his battery once, drilling over his head. Oh, I think we're getting through there. Oh yeah. There we go. Woo! Look at that. So our turret plate that mounts the heater is gonna go right like that. And then our heater will go basically right like that. Somewhere, there we go, like that.
We're just adjusting some of these catches for these push knobs.
A lot of these cabinets I would have to close them by hitting them with my fist, and that's, I mean, Ben's a fine cabinet maker. But some of these fine cabinets, when you put them in a bus that's rocking and rolling all the time.
How long have you been living in here, Andy?
3.5, almost 4 years. Come February, it'll be 4 years. Yeah.
Do you love this bus?
I love it. I love it. It's not like it's stress-free. A lot of people think, wow, man, bus life, freedom from responsibility. No, not so much. You have new responsibilities. A lot of new responsibilities, including maintaining a temperature. It's like having a puppy. You know, it requires constant care and upkeep and supervision. In summertime, can't get too hot. Wintertime, can't get too cold. Mm-hmm. I wish I had more storage space in here. It's not like I got a lot of valuable storage space being taken up by books and movies, but yeah. But it makes me happy. This is the stuff that makes me passionate, so why not?
Right.
I wasn't going to make this a how-to, but I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. So going to the top of that tank, a lot of times the fuel tanks will have a little plate that's removable that the fuel sender and the pickup tube and all that stuff are attached to. This bus does have that, but looking at it, it looks like a real can of worms. Like, you know, it's in a nice bit of stasis where it's been for the last 15 or 20 years, and I don't really want to mess with that. So what I'm going to do instead of threading this through a hole and then putting a nut on the back, I'm actually going to go ahead and get a drill and tap set. This is an M6 diameter 1.0 thread pitch thread there, if it's focusing on it. And then What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, from the top, drill in, tap that with a vacuum running to catch the chips so they don't go into the tank. And even if some do, there's a million filters, and I can guarantee you there's a lot more other stuff in the tank that's gonna be a problem. But what that means is that I'm going through my drawers here of all my like easy outs and taps and stuff, and I don't have that size. So a guy like me has got to go to Ace Hardware. It's the place with the helpful hardware, folks, though. While we're here, can I just show you something pretty? Those of you astute among us will know Starrett from Massachusetts as a really nice tool and measurement manufacturer. And this is a gauge that you use to determine the inside dimensions of a bore. I'm not a machinist, but I got this from an old man, and I love old man tools. And you stick that in there and you tighten it down, and then you stick this inside the bore and spin it, and it will tell you if your bore on like a cylinder or something is uniform. And then you take it out, you know, once you've measured it, you take this out and you can read, and it will tell you the measurement there. You see the markings on that? I don't know if you can. Anyway, I used to have a really nice Starrett automatic center punch too, but it grew legs and walked away. And that's what happens when tools spend enough time in your drawers. They get older and they get to that point where they want to leave the house. You don't want to hold them back if they don't want to be there, you know. So, actually Ben stole it. I know where it went. Ben has it. But I gave it to Ben for some reason as an act of goodwill.
I lost mine.
Ben lost his. And Ben uses, I'll be honest, Ben does things the right way more often than I do. And that means that he uses his automatic center punch a lot more. And when he lost his, I gave him mine. So Ben's automatic center punch has the letter C on the top of it so that he knows where it came from. Chuck. Automatic chuck punch. So Matt's here. He says there's a small chance that he actually might have an M6 1.0 tap here, which would be cool because we hate leaving the shop, don't we? We hate it.
I don't know, I can't really read it.
Well, let's see if this threads onto it. This looks like it would be right. Nasty. It's even got lube on it. That's why it pays to let your friends crash at your shop and do their projects, because you just end up helping each other, you know? Put these keys away.
Should be your next tool du jour, bro.
The high lift jack. In the words of Eminem, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to flow. So I'm doing a tester because I don't have the correct drill bit. I guess the correct drill bit being a metric one for this M6 tap. So I went ahead and grabbed a piece of sheet steel and I drilled a hole. This is a 13/64 imperial bit. And then, you know, I was able to thread really nicely actually this metric tap into the imperial hole. And then I've got our fuel pickup tube here, and this is the test, the moment to see if this will work. So it doesn't use the threads to seal. I don't know if you can see this little rubber O-ring. The O-ring is what does all of the sealing action. So all we need this to do is bite. Ooh, and it feels like it is. And this will thread into the fuel tank, or just really the top of the plate that has the pickup tube and stuff and sender. Oh yeah. That's really good. I just have to go do this now on that plate. Hopefully I can guess the right position so that when I stick in the pickup tube, it avoids hitting the fuel sending float. And then we'll cut this to length if we even need to. And we'll be done with the two hardest parts of installing the diesel heater, which are cutting the big hole for the turret plate and tapping into the diesel tank. A lot of folks are intimidated to tap into the diesel tank, but I can't recommend it enough. The last thing you want in your living space is a big tank of diesel floating around, spilling everywhere, because once you spill diesel in your rig, that smell is forever. And anyone who's lived with a tank inside their rig, and actually lived with it, they'll know that it's nasty. And once it happens, there's no coming back from it. Hey! Want your diesel heater? We've got a special guest in the shop. We've got Nikita coming in to pick up her diesel heater because she got on the bandwagon quick.
Yeah, I'm down for it.
Winter's coming, so I was just gonna show her what comes in the box because she's never installed one before, and then send her on her way.
Do it again.
It's like, if it's running right, that's what it'll sound like.
I'm gonna compare once
Yeah,
I have it
you can
installed.
call
I'll
me.
come back to this video.
Does this sound right? I used the aircraft bit to drill our hole into the top of our fuel lid here that you can kind of see. And I've got the vacuum running while I had that running while I drilled it, and now I'm gonna have the vacuum running while I run the tap through. And then once the tap is run through, I can stick this in. If we need to cut it to length, which we probably will, I can do that. And you want to cut it just a little bit shy because you don't want to ever run yourself out of diesel with your diesel heater, and you also don't want to be picking up any of the sediment or junk on the tank. So we get back into this, turn the vac, finish cutting these threads. So we will feed this down, but I still need to cut off, that's the bottom. So our tube is that big, that big too long, you know? So I'm gonna go cut off this much off the end, plus a little bit more.
That's great. So now we gotta do one of these. This is gonna be the fun part.
I thought that was the fun part.
Is it a single or is it 2 bolts?
Wait. I think I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
We're good. Alright. Let's eat lunch.
I've had moments like that before. Good work, team!
Yeah, good job. Thanks, Beth.
It did take 3 people.
Alright, we did it.
Okay, lunch break is over. That was a good time, by the way. Little pro tip, when you're getting ready to install these diesel heaters, I like to mount everything to the diesel heater and the turret plate before you stick it in. And then you just feed these through the hole that you cut in the floor. It makes it a lot easier. You spend a lot less time under the bus, which is always my objective. So we're gonna go plop this down and then get to plumbing it up. And I think Ben over there with Andy, they just about have his alternator all sorted out. We got our new chrome piece in there. Yeah, that's sparkle. And we're getting 14 volts at idle. Should we see if it's triggering the Stirling?
Yeah. Fuse is out of it.
Oh. Well, we'll have to put the fuse in then. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So here we are inside Andy's bus. I'm gonna save the tour for Bart, but see right now we're positive coming in on the whiz-bang, 30 amps. And we're getting a good voltage inside there, so that was what spurred this all. And now we're just going to address a fuel leak that he's got there. So
What were we getting last week on that then?
last week it just wasn't even getting a high enough voltage to kick on because the old alternator wasn't even charging.
Well, this one's doing it.
Yeah, it's charging. All right. Okay, the successes continue. We've got that's our underside of the unit, and our fuel line's happening here. And as you can see, I got it in priming mode, which means our fuel filter is slowly filling with diesel. And in just a minute here, I'm gonna go ahead and run inside. As soon as I see that fill up and I see some fuel start to come up there, I'll run inside and tell it to try to start turning on. Well, that was actually very quick because now it's already starting to heat up and I can smell the scent of diesel. All right, in here, we're at level 10 on the display. I really love this display, by the way. And boy, she's really, the fan's really blasting. We'll see if we start feeling some heat here pretty soon. You can usually hear it once it kicks on. And checking in here, I don't think we have any leaks. Yeah. I can't smell any diesel on my fingers, so we'll see how we do.
still have any food in there? I'm kind of hungry.
You still got some hot sauce, I think. All right, oh. So just finishing vacuuming up here. It's still a construction zone, but this thing is cranking. We've got 174 degrees right there on the output. And yeah, she is warm to the touch. So that's a job well done.
I know it looks scary. It looks like she's on the operating table.
Yeah, we're pretty deep into, you know, it's just about quitting the clock, and Andy's still here. He's a good sport. We decided to, after fixing the alternator, take a crack at this fuel leak that he has in this fuel filter housing, and long story short, we couldn't resolve it, so we lost the prime. And so we're using the Anchor doodad again, hooked up to an electric pump that's in his tank to reprime his fuel filter. Yeah, there it goes. Yep. And we're gonna give me the keys to this thing.
Right here.
So we're gonna just try and see if that doesn't do the job we need it to do. Seems like it's pumping, judging by the bubbling. And we got the glow plugs on, so we'll just see if this works. And we are running! All right. So now we'll disconnect that and we're off to the races. Woo! Nice job. Okay, I have to just say, if you are serious about living bus life, get an ammo can, get some lengths of hose, and a cheap little electric fuel pump with a filter built into it, because that'll save your ass if you ever lose your prime and you don't know how to reprime your bus, or it doesn't have a manual priming pump, which is what happened to us today, huh, Andy?
Absolutely.
And anyway, it's 5:14, so we went a little bit late, but we're about to send Andy on his way. This bus has its diesel heater installed. I don't think we'll get a chance to take a look at that roof raise that we have going on tomorrow, but right back there we got two goofballs that we haven't seen in a long time, so we're gonna have a cold one and kick back. There's Ben. Good job, Ben. Ben spent most of his day under this bus. So, a couple hero shots of these buses pulling out, and then I'll see you next time. Charging, but still leaking a little diesel. And he's great. We'll let Ben drive that one. And there goes bus number 2 today. So 2 projects down. Got a little bit cleanup to do before we go hang with those fellas back there. And then tomorrow we'll get cracking on that guy. It's a day in the life of Chuck Cassidy, fixing buses, doing work in the shop, getting under buses. Hope you had a good time seeing what things are like out here. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. We have a lot going on today. This was brought down to us from a guy that lives an hour away, and he drove it here on a folding chair. That's my style. All right, give her a while, Matt. Oh, good. God, dude. 5 years. How do you know we got a revolution?